Okay, so you either do or you do not engage in black and white thinking, right? Okay, I thought that was really funny. I thought that was a really funny intro because that in and of itself is black and white thinking. I'm Summer Boretsky. I write the Panic About Anxiety blog here on Psych Central. I myself have panic disorder with agoraphobia, and I am a serial black and white thinker. Okay, so black and white thinking is what's called a type of cognitive bias. It's almost like it's a way of preventing yourself from seeing the world for what it actually is, okay? So like, here's the input of the world, and somewhere between the world and your brain, there's like a filter that distorts the information, okay? Black and white thinking kind of unnecessarily makes you polarize things. It makes you look at the world in a way without any kind of shades of gray, right? Okay, so things are either good or bad. You're either a success or you're a failure. There's no middle ground. And of course, we know that that's not really true, right? We know deep down that there are shades of gray to pretty much everything. I mean, even, growing up in school, right? It wasn't just pass, fail. Well, for most of your courses, hopefully. But, I mean, you can get a 90%, you can get an A, you can get a B, you can get a C, you can get a 72. There were all sorts of gradations between pass and fail. But our brains really, really cling on to that polarity, that concept of black and white for some reason. And I've been doing some thinking about it, and I think it's at least in part because of our language. So think about this, right? If you are a native English speaker, I want to present a challenge to you right now. And even if you're not a native English speaker, let's take two polar opposite words like hot and cold. Okay, so hot is over here, cold is over here. What word would you use to describe something that is exactly in between hot and cold? You might choose something like lukewarm or warm, or something just as muddy and as nondescriptive feeling. A word that doesn't really pack a verbal punch, okay? So let's think about up and down. What word can be described, what word can be used to describe that middle ground? Probably middle, right? Up, down, middle, left, right, middle. Large, small, what word might come between them? Maybe medium, middle, medium, warm. These are all very dull and boring words, right? And I think if you're the kind of person like me who likes to make things exciting and dramatic, not because it has anything to do with the disorder that you have, but simply because it's part of your personality. I am an ENFP according to Myers-Briggs. Which should be evident to any of you guys who are super familiar with Myers-Briggs or ENFPs, but we're very outgoing, energetic personalities who like to pack a lot of punch into things, right? And words, those middle ground words like that, they don't have a very strong effect, right? So here's my theory. I think when we're thinking about certain situations, we're more likely to avoid those more accurate, but less sexy middle ground words in favor of those polar adjectives like success or failure, for example, because they sound better. They sound more impactful. They sound more meaningful, right? They feel like they're not watered down in any way. So that's why I think it can be really difficult to battle black and white thinking, because our language is sort of constructed to favor black and white thinking. And in order to really get over this type of cognitive bias, which could be a huge problem if you're dealing with anxiety, or depression or other illnesses, right, that kind of don't necessarily allow you to see what's truly there, it can be really, really difficult to fight this. So I think the method that I'm going to try using going forward, and maybe you might too, is kind of actually using a numeric scale to rate things. Let's say I go out and I have a panic attack while trying to drive on the highway. Instead of saying, you know what, Summer, that's a failure, I can say to myself, okay, well, wait a minute. We have failure over here and we have success over here. There might not be a good word to describe the middle ground, but I can maybe either use percentages or grade it on a scale of 1 to 10 or something like that to kind of give myself a more proper assessment of the situation instead of almost like falling victim to the constraints of language. So that might be an idea that you could try out too if you are interested, like I suspect anybody would be, to kind of get rid of that black and white thinking cognitive bias and see the world in a more accurate way. For more videos like this and articles, blog posts, and news relating to psychology and mental health that would be of benefit to you, you can check out PsychCentral.com or check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/PsychCentral. And if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Summer Boretsky.